Hello everyone, right now we're going to be doing a Nintendo 64 map-in tutorial so that you can utilize the ability to run only your D-pad and facepad buttons accordingly rather than being tethered to analog sticks whether or not you have them, which is an amazing thing indeed. Let's go into the work in progress, tentative release date 1/21/21 if all works out, and into the PlayStation Classic folder. Yes, we're going to cover the PlayStation Classic installation of this first. And we're going to go into the Auto Bling folder, and then right way down here, we'll have the KM RetroArch Extreme N64 remaps, and it says it's an executable, but it's actually a safe, self-instructing installer. It is just this way to avoid read-only issues. So we're going to click this, and we're going to point right to the drive. And by the way, for those of you who haven't modified your PlayStation Classic, you need to have a drive titled capital SONY, and typically I run mine in FAT32. Okay, and I'm going to let this extract, and I'm going to click yes to all, and it's going to install 2 sets of Nintendo 64 mappers, so I can run these with the D-pad and such. And tremendous thanks to, of course, Mad Franco 008 and Black Sunshine, who have put extensive time in helping out with this meticulous, amazing, crafty project. Okay, we're going to let these install, and when they're done, we're going to be able to basically boot up and test these out. But the other thing is, if you go back in release here and go to the extras folder where all the goodies are, and there are also some goodies on my Google Drive. But we're going to go down here to the mapping folder, and you're going to have a little thing that says N64 D map mapping, and you simply click it, and you have information about this particular release as far as D-pad mapping and such. Again, the whole gist of the entirety of the Nintendo 64 set has been covered by Black Sunshine, myself, and Mad Franco 008, with the exception of a select number of Japan and Europe exclusives. The entirety of the USA set that has actually been workable and bootable and loadable and playable state has been done. So we're going to go into a hack sheet for the Mega Drive, SNES, and NES Classics, and here we go. That's the little debug menu. Let's open it up. And we're going to go to, with the upcoming release, you're going to go to Modules, CamFT's Mod Hub. And once you load that, I'm going to show you where it will be. You basically go over to the Extreme tab. Once it pops open, it'll be right here in this KMFT Extreme tab. You scroll down, it'll be like RetroArch Extreme N64 Remaps. And then once you download it, you're going to basically go to Modules, Install Extra Modules, and it'll show up right under the Extreme tab once you download it. And this will be the same for, of course, the upcoming Nintendo 64 Ludicrous and 64 core as well. But it's basically going to be under the Extreme tab, which is right here. And these are things that are not meant for normal users. These are basically meant for people who want to do the more experimental stuff that is less stable. So right here, of course, we have the Virtual RAM Overclock and 64 remaps, Crash Inhibitor, all that fun stuff. And of course, the updated PSP. But in any case, we're going to have the N64 remaps, and you simply click OK, install per normal, and once that is all said and done, you're good to go. Now we're going to boot up the system and test this baby out. It has always been an incredulous burden of a pesky process in order to get these games even working on the mini classics, let alone mapping them to your default non-analog support controllers. But we're going to try to make this as easy as possible for you. Once you have a game loaded into memory, I'm going to show you what you typically do, be it if you would like to do it automatically or manually. We're going to go into both methods there. We're going to load up F-Zero X with the Ludicrous N64 Extreme Core, and once you have the game loaded, for instance, pretend this is the very first time you ever got it going. You're so excited. Oh, look, I got the game running. It's working. I'm going to play the game here and try racing on my PlayStation Classic controller or my Super Nintendo controller. And watch what happens here. You might have forgot that the real hardware had a left analog stick where you had to use it to control Mario, Link, Star Fox, and, of course, your F-Zero car. And it did work out. This is difficult. Wham bam, no thank you ma'am, is running the F-Zero GX Adventure Mode, which is up there with doing Ninja Gaiden Black on Xbox, and it is so crazy hard. In any case, the automatic method, once you have the mappers installed with the upcoming release, is you're going to go to Quick Menu Controls once you have the game loaded. You're going to go to Load Remap File, and you're going to have one of 2 folders. For this particular code right here in the bottom left, which says Ludicrous N64 Extreme, you're going to use only mappers from the N64 Ludicrous folder. And for all the other cores such as Gloopin, Moopin, Parallel, you'll use the mappers from the N64 Extreme folder. And getting into the nitty gritty here, going inside the N64 Ludicrous folder, you're going to have roughly 300 plus games that are mapped. And these are all done from the USA set of working loadable games, which we were able to have in a playable state for the most part. And some of the Japan and European exclusives, you'd be kind of hard-pressed to find a game that we missed. If we missed any, we could get them in concurrent future releases. But you'll see the name of the game and the initials of whomever of us, Black Sunshine, myself, and Mad Franco 008 worked on them. I did 007 Goldeneye. My initials are at the end of that. We're going to go down to another game here. We'll do Base Rush, Echo Gear, Power Warm Championship, which is done by Black Sunshine. Sounds a little bit like a Power Rangers reject name. We'll go down to, what else do we have? Of course, Bug Bumble, a really cool shmup game with a bumblebee, was done by Mad Franco. And you go down the list, he did Bug's Life. Anytime that you give us feedback on the comments on Reddit, Discord, YouTube, etc., let me know which exact photo you're running the mapper from, who did the mapper, and if they can be optimized further. Like, hey, maybe you should put the Z button on the select button, etc., and we'll do that concurrently for the future releases. But what I would do is go down to F-Zero here. And what I could do is simply load it if I'd like to use it. That would be the automatic method. And then when I go to resume the game, I'll be able to play it on my controller, Super Nintendo, PlayStation, equivalent controller with no issues. But for right now, I'm going to ignore that completely. I'm going to show you the manual method. And by the way, I would highly recommend do not mapping it from the input folder because it'll affect all chords globally and you can completely screw up your setup, especially if you push the wrong button. So be very wary and careful messing with the input folder unless you know what you're doing or somebody like me or somebody else that you trust could guide you through the process and show you how to recover from it if you mess up. What you want to do is go to the quick menu, controls, because this will actually revert to default controls the moment you leave unless you manually save the game remap file right here. I'm going to go to port 1 controls, and you might want to get out your phone or your little notepad, and I'm going to give you little notes there. We're going to go right to the bottom here, and this would be where your left analog is, right here, and then your right analog. You can completely ignore these. Don't even worry about these for right now. Obviously, they use the left analog on your D-pad is what you want to do if you don't have an analog stick. So we're going to go up here, and here's where you're going to want to take notes. We're going to go to where the D-pad is up, and watch very carefully. D-pad up equals... We're going to make this right here. And once I give you the association here, you might be able to do it without even having to worry about, like, looking at notes. But we're going to think of the D-pad up would be your control stick Y minus. And write this down as I'm explaining it to you. Think of it this way. You're playing Pilotwings and your guy's at the top of the sky, ready to jump down and try to get his bonus stage where he turns into the penguin and such. But the Y would be this guy with his arms up in the air, and that little line next to it, that minus sign, is essentially the door of the plane that he's about to jump out of. And we're about to go into a little bit of a point break here. We're going to go to the other axes, which would be the Y plus, right here. Bam, bam, bam. Y plus. And, of course, that would be him jumping out of the plane. He's not paying attention. He's a little bit tall. He hits his head, and he spirals out of control. Kind of like in Point Break. Spoiler alert, with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze. Basically, going for supremacy on their way to the ground, refusing to pull their parachute to the last possible conceivable moment. And by the way, there's a joke that I read like many years ago, previous to that, where there were two guys that were basically with their parachutes, and one refused to pull a parachute until like 10 feet from the ground. One's like, haven't you ever fallen from 10 feet before? And I swear this joke was turned into Point Break, the amazing action movie. In any case, you have these two right there, which you could jot down. And then, of course, we're going to have another hero from another game here. We'll use Simon Belmont from Castlevania Legacy. Awesome guy here. And we're going to be doing the X-axis right here. And the X minus would be basically Simon Belmont standing here with his arm sticking out right there. He's retracted his arm there. And, of course, we're going to have the control stick. X plus would be him throwing his boomerang. Right here. Now he's throwing out his boomerang, and of course the guy from Pilotwings is falling down, and he is safely caught by the magic, amazing power of Simon Belmont's boomerang and safely lifted to the ground. So again, we have D-pad up axes would be your Y minus, D-pad down axes would be your Y plus, and of course your D-pad left would be your X minus, and your D-pad right would be your X plus. And this is very easy. I'll have it in my notes as well as in the YouTube information. And you're going to go down here and say, for instance, we'd like to have our A and B buttons applied because we want to try to get all these buttons mapped as good as we can. I'm going to make my triangle be my B button. Okay, so I'm going to go to the B button here. Okay. There we go. We got B and A, and we have the left analog mapped to the D-pad. Now we're going to go up to the select button, and we're going to throw a Z button on there. Okay. And we're going to leave L and R alone for right now. And if you have an L2 button, you can leave the Z trigger there. Now, for instance, say we would like to have one of the C buttons mapped, and this is going to be the same exact scenario as doing this right here. So we're going to go up to the buttons that I didn't map yet, the cross and the square, and we're going to look at the order here. I want to make the I'm going to make the square, which is on the left, and the, of course, cross, which is on my right. I want to make them the left and right axes. So I'm going to do the one on the left first. I'm going to go to where it says the C buttons. There we go. C button. There we go. C button. And again, the one on the left, which would be Simon Belmont holding his arm out, would be X minus. Okay, now we're going to go up to where he's actually throwing his boomerang, which would be the CX plus. So we're going to do that right now. There we go, CX plus. There we go, and we're all good to go. We got our left and right C buttons. We have our Z button on the select button. We have our start button where it needs to be. Our left analog is all applied applicably here. And then, of course, we have our A and B button, L and R. So we're good to go. Now I'm going to go back out. I'm going to go to quick menu controls. I'm going to go to save game remap file. Now it's actually going to be there for next time I load the game. Okay, now I'm going to go to resume, and we should be able to play the game fine now. Let's try it again. Hell yeah. Again, we're running with the ludicrous N64 stream core. Okay. There we go. We got acceleration. We got our brakes. And we got our left and right C buttons, which let's see what they do. Of course, we can do our boost as well. This is awesome. And then, of course, if you don't want to use the map or you mess up, I'm going to show you what to do in that case. You can go to the quick menu, controls, delete game remap file. Bam, now it's no longer there. Now we can go back to load remap file, and we can go to the, of course, folder I told you to go to, the ludicrous N64 folder. We're going to go to F0 here. And this is going to be the one that I did. Bam. And now that I have it loaded, I can go to save game remap file. Now I can go to simply close content. And the very next time I load it, the game's going to be loaded into the mapper. Right here, F0X, ludicrous N64 streaming my history. Run it. And then I'm going to go to controls, and the mapper should be loaded. In the event that you run into a game where the mapper's not loaded, you can simply reload it. I'm going to show you how to reload it. I'm going to go to quick menu controls. It's loaded right there. But if it's not loaded, you can do one of two things. If you're using the automatic ones that we did, they'll be in the ludicrous folder or the extreme folder. And if you did one that you just manually did, it'll show up in this ludicrous N64 extreme folder right here. This is the one that I just saved, and I can use it, and I'm good to go. Just like that. And we're going to try it again, make sure we can control it. We should be good to control again. Oh, hell yeah. Fun game. It'll help if I actually push the right button here. I forgot I had my B and A buttons reversed. And of course, we can do the ludicrous extreme core and convert back to the extreme parameters there by going into audio here and going to synchronization on. Now we're running at normal speed. How do you like that? HD, normal speed for extreme mode activate. And then if we want to go back to the ludicrous extreme mode activate, go to synchronization there, turn it off. Bam! Look at that craziness. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys and gals. There'll be more to come.